Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for joining me with my Stormbringer first edition solo campaign. We are on the brink of being able to start adventuring. We are going to be arriving at the seaport of Trepasaz. This is a bustling, busy seaside port, quite a large city on the coast of Lormere, which is one of the probably one of the more important young kingdoms, certainly in the past. However, its days of glory, its days of being in the sunshine are behind it. It is a nation in decline. However, it still has quite a bit of significance. We will find out anon about far more details about its occupants, about its secrets. That is what Stormbringer is all about. The first thing I want to do is maybe just give a bit of an indication of just how I'm going to be playing this campaign. So what I've done is I've prepared a little sheet that I can go through and just show you some of the tables and some of the information that I'm going to be using to help me narrate and games master this as a solo GM, and using my protagonist and my companions. And I thought, well, probably the best idea is just to give you a bit of a heads up on the playstyle, so that we're all on the same page and you can understand where I am coming from, and it doesn't sound as though it's mumbo jumbo when it happens. Probably the main focus is that this is going to be a far more narrative, dramatic, I will use the word melodramatic campaign. It's going to be a more emphasis on story, on action, on just getting things done, getting on with the journey. Before the young kingdoms disintegrate into a pile of chaos goo, we do have this few years with our characters to make them shine, make their mark on what is basically a hopeless task. However, we must always look on the bright side. They could burn brightly as we head towards our doom. So the play style that this solo campaign is going to embrace a melodramatic, prophetic, and immersive style of play, focusing on a single protagonist whose actions and fate drive the story. And I've spent a long time generating my protagonist and also giving him quite a bit of character and individuality. That will all come through and pay dividends later on in our role-playing. The companions act as semi-independent players, guided by motivation, bonds, and random prompts, creating dynamic interactions. Now, we've already created some 3 quite interesting companions for our main protagonist. They will act as independent almost. They will have a mind of their own. I will use mechanisms to give them a bit of kickback sometimes to the protagonist. He's not going to get it all his own way. He can't just order them around like automaton. They have personality, so I'm going to bring that out. This approach combines narrative-driven GM description, in-character decision-making, and selective narrator interludes. So we will have Eltharion as our narrator, you will have me as the GM describer, and the in-character decision-making will all be narrated out with using our companions, using our protagonist, using our NPCs. Symbolic motifs, recurring prophetic hints, and thematic language will reinforce a sense of heroism, doom, and the ever-present balance of law and chaos. So that is really going to feature heavily. When I was doing my first campaign back in 1981, we were just fresh out of reading all the Elric books and whatever, so we were brimming with ideas and crackling. You could almost feel the crackle of enthusiasm. So I hope, it's been a long time since I've read all the Elric books and whatever, but I know enough about it. I have it in my muscle memory that it was very heavy on all this type of melodrama and prophetic kind of mystery. So I want to try to lay that on. And hopefully this first episode that you're going to see, and it might even go into 2 episodes. I'll just have to wait and see how long it takes. This might give you a hint on how these episodes will progress, and maybe just how almost I'm trying to go for a different kind of feel in this campaign, more kind of story type campaign, less emphasis on just raw mechanics and rolling dice and whatever, but a bit more on about interpretation and narration. So that being said, dice rolls and oracle style prompts will provide structure, but the story remains fluid and responsive, resulting in a solo campaign that is both personal and epic in scope. So it will feel it's been personalized around what are the character decisions, what our companions are doing, but it will be epic because it's on the grand vast canvas of the Young Kingdoms. And also what these characters will be doing in the scheme of things will be important because they are like heroes themselves. The fate, right, so I'm going to have a bit of an interlude from Eltharion. He is going to say just a few words about dice rolling in the Young Kingdoms. And he says, "The fated die is cast, and in its fall we glimpse the shape of destiny. It does not yield simple chance, but the whispers of the balance, the tug of chaos and the stern pull of law. Every roll is a judgment, not of fortune alone, but of the path the adventurers must walk in this cruel and beautiful world." Well, thank you very much, Eltharion. That is one of the best descriptions I have ever had of some dice and just how they are going to be used. And we will be using what I call the fated die as our yes-no oracle. That is basically the Grand Young Kingdom's name for a yes-no oracle, the fated die. And it's got a bit of a twist, because as you would expect with a bit more Murkochian type of twist, that there is an element of uncertainty and fate will be deciding on a 6. So it's not going to be a straight yes and no. There'll be a bit of uncertainty in it. I'm not really going to just read out every single line. You can probably see that before you. But hopefully an oracle with a bit of character, bit of twist. Let's move on to the solo GM, the protagonist, and the companion players framework. And let's look at their roles. And the first role is what I would call the games master, who is basically me as a solo player. I'm going to describe the world. I'm going to set the scenes. I'm going to portray NPCs. I will handle the consequences, and I will use random rolls and story momentum to resolve any uncertainty. So that sounds good. So basically, I do all the heavy lifting of the world. I do all the kind of just general explanation. That is my role. And I'm quite happy to do that because I will take on that role. I've been looking forward to this campaign. So it is a task that is going to be enjoyable. The protagonist, our hero or heroine, is a hero for our first character protagonist. We are going to have the personal viewpoint of this character. And that is going to be central to our exploration of the Young Kingdoms. We roleplay the decisions, the dialogue and actions in this character's almost headspace, using his motivations, his personality, his aspirations. And then we move on to the companion players, and I'm viewing them very much as other players. So they'll be treated as if other players were running them in my kind of mind's eye. That's how I'm going to have to vision them. They will act semi-independently. So their motives, traits, and bonds with the protagonist shape their choices. And I'm saying their decisions will be driven by motivation and personality, which has already been set in advance. And I will give a quick recap of them at the end of this section of this episode. Game logic and random rolls, and this is what I call my D8 stance roll. and then judgment as to what further circumstances influence them. And for this stance, I can make this roll. Say the character says, go into that burning house, and rescue the treasure and bring it back out for us. I can roll a d8, and the character might just say, nah, forget it, because it rolls something on this that says, defiant opposition, refuses outright, may argue or act against. But then if it gets an 8, self-driven acts on their own initiative, whether in line or at odds with the group. So it should go from 1 to 8 to better, but again, I'm going to have my Mercockian twist. That it's not always as it seems. Generally, the higher the score, the more amenable they are to the protagonist, and the lower. And then I can based on my knowledge of what their personality is like and their motivations, I can adjust that d8 by plus or minus 1 or 2 or whatever. And this is where I come to adjust by logic. If something aligns strongly with their nature, we will tilt the result towards that. If it contradicts, we will tilt against. They act as players, not simply NPCs. So these people are important, these companions. I think I've created quite an interesting and eclectic little mix of characters for us to start adventuring with. I am really looking forward to getting my teeth into playing them. Some of these stances are quite interesting to look at. So say we get defiant opposition, that would be quite fun just to say, no, I'm not doing that, and have a bit of an argument. A pawn on pawn, like we have in some of my other campaigns. A bit of argy-bargy. Skeptical resistance, well, maybe voicing, dragging feet again. And by having these kind of quite evocative kind of and enigmatic statements, I can read into the situation whatever I want. Reserved neutrality, practical support, eager agreement, yes. Zealous backing, oh, absolutely, I will go into that burning house and do anything for you, that kind of stuff. So let's see if I can sell this approach anymore. The benefits of this approach: it feels like a group game. Companions have a say and can surprise us. You bet, with some of these reactions, they might. And I've had this almost like an AI kind of view of some of my characters in some of my other games. I know, notably in my Holmes game, Holmes D&D, I have several avatars. I have my dungeon master, I have my player characters, and the player characters, I use a form of very kind of general AI, and they act independently. And if, say, they come to a point where they have to take a left or the right, I will just roll the dice and say, well, actually, they decide on to go left, but I will weight it based on what my foreknowledge is of what they have discovered, and also what their personality is. And maybe if I've been playing Hero Quest yesterday, and that is probably quite an extreme version of a very simplistic way of having very basic personalities stamped onto the game. So, for example, my barbarian is very keen on just kicking doors down and getting stuck into rooms. He has to pull himself back sometimes, and it's a bit of an effort to do that, and he has a more difficult time than, say, the dwarf or the elf, who are quite keen on maybe searching or listening at the doors before they knock them open. So I'm going to have a similar kind of system as this for Stormbringer. It's going to keep the tension, and the protagonist can't just bulldoze decisions without pushback, and I think I mentioned that earlier. That was one of the advantages of this. Balance control, it will still shape the arc as the GM, because that is kind of my overall role. And it will be a shaped arc, hopefully. I'm going to be maybe trying to push it in a certain direction, in a way that I find entertaining and I want to explore. And I think that's maybe part of the solo experience, is that I'm just not going to do it completely random and say, oh, we're off to this place, and I don't really want to go there. If say that they want to go west, or they need to go west, and randomly they say, oh, you have to go east. I might try to shape that or weight it or whatever. So I think that's part of the preserve of being the GM in this. And then the companions, they can add color and unpredictability to that entire process. And then finally, I've created my own social interaction table. It's a D20 table. And we can use this whenever we have basically any social interactions. There's none in the Stormbringer rules, so there's no reaction table like they have in RuneQuest. And I thought, again, this was quite kind of tailored around the way you'd expect people to maybe act in the young kingdoms. It's a bit, obviously, if you think of acting and you're being a bit Shakespearean, you're being maybe a bit hammy and kind of acting it up. I get that feeling from the young kingdoms that things are kind of ramped up to maybe up to 8 or 9 on the scale. Everybody is quite edgy. Everyone is quite a bit of a character. Everyone's got something to say. Even your commoners and whatever, they can do the little quip and whatever. They're maybe always uttering little kind of prophecies and saying, "Oh, your doom will reach you," and kind of little remarks and whatever. I just want to get that feel, and hopefully this social interaction table will help me in that pursuit. So, what are we on to next? Character resumes and sheets. Now, I have already got, I've shown you these sheets. I have not progressed these. I'm still to fill out all the blanks and do all the skills and whatever, but I do have a lot of all my worksheets. And I thought, well, for this stage of the adventuring, actual hard mechanics are not as important. I don't think I'm going to be using anything specifically on the attribute side or any of the skills, maybe for this first adventure, because again, I want it to be a bit more of a narrative. I am going to be doing some role playing, but it's going to be a bit more narrative based and interactive. So not really, get your sword out and chop that pirate in half. It's not really going to be that. I don't expect that. If it does, I can always just stop and say, right, that's enough for today, and next time we'll come back and have a bit of an argy-bargy. But what I have prepared are these, and I had a lot of fun doing this and writing little resumes for these characters. I have the summaries of basically those character sheets and all those episodes that we did where we created our protagonist and did his kind of follow-up, where basically I was trying to get him into a bit more of a heroic shape, but at potential cost of a doom or a fate. But he managed to get quite a lot of benefits out of that. He managed to increase his attributes, and also we had a really good session, I think, on the companions, and I used basically archetype type roles like the Melnibonean loner, the Vilmurian noble, that type of thing. We got a Purple Town sailor, we got a warrior from Picarid, and we got a barbarian from the Weeping Waste. My goodness, what a group. So, and they've all got quite interesting backstories. So what I did was I thought, well, why don't I put them into a narrative form and read them out on the channel? And you could almost get a kind of, as if you were reading it in Stormbringer in a book, or, Elric at the End of Time or something like that. And this is a little description of these individuals. So let's start off with our protagonist, our hero, Altharan Solvin. He is a sailor of Shazar. He walks the world as an ambitious outsider, caught between pride and a hunger for wealth. Greedy at times, proud at others, he makes a deeper yearning to wrest meaning from a doomed and decaying age. His heart carries a wound, a forbidden love, torn apart by the unyielding chains of custom and law, that haunts his steps as surely as the sea salt lingers on his skin. At night, his dreams return again and again to a spiral pattern, twisting endlessly inward, as though fate itself is drawing him down into some unseen core. Drawn to the strange and the arcane, Altharan surrounds himself with mystical trinkets and glittering jewels. each a talisman against despair. His past was marked by camaraderie, once a beloved shipmate of the Shazarian seas. The captain and the crew alike sharpened his talents and lent him strength. Yet shadows lengthen in his wake. A betrayer once trusted dogs his memory, while the wisdom of the seasoned mercenary still serves as his guiding star. When turmoil comes, his aura of command rises like a tide. Strangers yield, allies follow, and the chaos bends beneath his voice. Well, that sounds very dramatic. Let us find out about his companions, see if they are worthy of a title of dramatic as well. We've had our first companion that we generated, Calith Jorveth. She hails from the Purple Towns, a sailor hardened by salt winds and rough docksides, with the sea's cunning etched into her every glance. Pragmatic and quick to seize opportunity, she knows the ports and back streets of the young kingdoms, as others know their prayers. A lovable rogue in manner, Calith can win trust with a grin, yet behind her guarded eyes burns a temper she keeps tightly leashed. A thin scar runs across her cheek, a mark she never speaks of, and at night she dreams of a crumbling tower collapsing into dust, an omen she cannot shake. Bound to the protagonist by a shared enemy, whose name they whisper only in private, she follows the path of fate with wary steps, secretive yet steadfast. Okay, intriguing. A fellow sailor. It goes into barbaric territory now because we get the uber barbarian, the Picaridin warrior, hunter warrior, Valric Keelthorn. He is a warrior of Picarid, proud as the black cliffs of his homeland, and as suspicious of strangers as a wolf circling firelight. A tribesman born to the raw winds and endless heaths, his survival skills are near unmatched, his free spirit untamed by the trappings of kings or merchants. He trusts no oaths spoken lightly, for to Valric loyalty is proven only in deed, never in word. His bond with the protagonist was forged in the crucible of battle, where each saved the other's life and so became brothers in arms. Yet beneath his rugged exterior lies a secret allegiance to law, a conviction he guards as jealously as his life, lest it make him a target among his kin. Weathered skin maps the years of hardship upon him, and like Calith, he dreams of a crumbling tower, its fall echoing like a prophecy that binds their fate together. So they are linked by a shared vision, him and Calith, which was quite coincidence, or is it? Is anything coincidence in the Young Kingdoms? Is it all destiny? Is it all fate? Is it going to be one of these things where free will? There's no such thing as free will. It's all to do with destiny and fate, and it's etched into your future, and you cannot change it, or we'll be able to break out of that and have a philosophical argument and say free will exists. And then finally we come to Thalara Lutharis. She hails from the desolate Weeping Waste, a barbarian huntress whose strength and endurance are as enduring as the barren land that forged her. Fierce and superstitious, she places tribe and family above all. Yet the strange bond that ties her as servant to the protagonist remains cloaked in mystery. An oath, a debt, or perhaps a spell. Subtlety is not her art. She meets the world with blunt force and an unyielding will. Yet in her heart burns an obsession with treasure, glittering wealth she covets, as if it might fill some hidden emptiness. Her voice carries a mystical quality, a haunting resonance that unsettles those who hear it, as if touched by prophecy. Unlike her companions, her dreams are not of towers, but of a shattered mirror, a vision of broken selves and fragmented truths, a riddle that shadows her steps. Whoa. So she sounds very mystical, very enigmatic. A lot being packed in on the psychological side there. She does have this rather strange relationship with the protagonist. She is effectively, I always use air quotes, servant of the protagonist. What does that mean? We will find out in the adventures So everything is kind of mysterious just now. We haven't really satisfied our questions yet. And then finally, I'm going to come to a shared prophecy, and that was what we rolled at the end of the companion's creation, what linked all the characters together, and it said that we shared a prophecy that we were following. And I've called this the company of the crumbling vision. So in the fading light of a doomed age, 4 wanderers converge upon Trepasaz, bound by ties of chance, survival, and the whisper of prophecy. Altharan Solvin, sailor of Shazar, carries the aura of command and the scars of forbidden love. His ambition tempered by dreams of spirals that draw him ever inward. Beside him walks Calith Jorvith, a rogue sailor of the purple towns, her laughter sharp as her temper, hiding secrets and scars while chasing profit and freedom with equal daring. Valric Kilthorne, the Picaridon warrior, proud and suspicious, walks with the bearing of one tempered by storm and battle, loyal only when loyalty is proven, yet haunted by a secret allegiance to law that gnaws at his spirit. Walking alongside them is Thalara Lutharis, the barbarian huntress of the Weeping Waste. Fierce and superstitious, her brute strength matched only by her obsession with treasure. Her voice carrying an eerie resonance, as if the gods themselves spoke through her throat. Each dreams of omens, crumbling towers, shattered mirrors, endless spirals. Each feels the tug of forces vast and unseen. Though their bonds are forged in battle, in betrayal and in obscure depths of fate, it is the prophecy, half heard, half remembered, that guides their steps. Why they have come to Trepasaz may not yet be clear, but the city waits, and the sea beyond promises both fortune and doom. In the young kingdoms where chaos and law vie for dominion, theirs is not a company of choice, but of destiny. Well, that really sets the scene, I think. I have done what I said I would do. I would give some resumes of the characters in Stormbringer format, which basically means melodramatic, ramping it up to 10. Hopefully you found that quite interesting. You are on board with these characters. You want to follow their journey. As if you are turning the pages of the book. Let us see where the first chapter will take us. And then we have a bit of a bonus entry. We get good old Eltharion, and what he can do is he can give a bit of a as if you've not had stirring introductions already. Eltharion is going to speak. Eltharion speaks, this is called. The adventure begins, and he says, the young kingdoms sprawl in a patchwork of fading empires, hungry states and ancient ruins, where the balance tilts on a knife edge. Yet for a few, the path is not chosen by ambition or coin, but by the whisper of fate. A prophecy half remembered, half carried strangers across sea and sand to the same threshold, the Lormirian port of Trepasaz. Trepasaz, once a jewel of Lormir, now a city of contradictions. Its harbour bristles with masts and sails, carrying merchants, mercenaries, and pilgrims. The scent of salt and tar mixes with the incense from the shrines to Lore and the elementals. Its crumbling amphitheatres echo with fortune-tellers, its alleys with knives, and its docks with the ceaseless call of the sea. Here the old grandeur of Lormir stands shoulder to shoulder with desperation and decay. It is here that you gather, bound by omen, compelled by mystery. The prophecy speaks of meetings beneath broken arches, of signs revealed when tide and moon align, of a journey that does not end in Trepasaz, but begins there. Companions of fate, some loyal, some weary, drawn together not by chance, but by the hand of destiny. And so the tale begins, in the port where shadows lengthen and sails strain for the horizon. Whatever awaits, glory, ruin, or the inexorable pool of doom, the sea calls you onward. Right. Okay, so thank you very much, Eltharion. I'm sure we're going to be hearing from you soon. You are going to be a feature of all these episodes. We like your dulcet tones. It adds some gravitas to the entire proceeding. So, arrival at Trepasaz, I was just going to say the characters, they have been bound by a prophecy and are under the leadership of Altharan Solvin. So, in summary, that is what the state of play is. Envision the ship carrying them pulls into the harbour of Trepasaz after a hard voyage across uncertain seas. The port city sprawls unevenly along the coastline, its wharves lined with ships from across the Young Kingdoms. The smell of brine, tar, and fish mixes with the smoke of cook fires and the spice-laden scent of the markets. Seagulls wheel overhead, their cries cutting through the clamour of sailors unloading cargo and stevedores shouting orders. They notice the city's towers, old, salt-eaten stone, some leaning as though the sea has been slowly trying to reclaim them. Narrow streets wind upward from the docks, and from here they glimpse the patchwork of markets, taverns, and shrines that give the port its restless energy. Okay, get my next page out. As they make ready to disembark, the harbour seems to watch them with suspicion. They pass quietly into the crowd, looking to find out something useful and to simply find a tavern while getting their land legs back. So they're feeling a bit queasy, a bit uneasy, back on land. A couple of the seamen who are probably quite used to getting, adjusting, acclimatizing. But our poor old barbarian, he's having a couple of barbarians, they're having a bit of a hard time. Not only they were getting quite seasick on the actual voyage, but they are finding it difficult to reorientate themselves now that they are on land. And the fact that they're in such a civilized community, it's maybe making them feel quite unsettled as well. Yeah, particularly our Picarid barbarian, who is naturally xenophobic in nature, so he is probably feeling quite anxious. And what we're going to do is I thought, well, what would be an interesting way of introducing the setting and introducing us to the characters and just having a bit of role play, how to find out about the town and also the culture of Lormir at the same time. And I have just devised a little mini game. If you go surprise, surprise, Brian's done a mini game. What on earth is he going to have in his mini game? Well, I will tell you. I have what is known as my Lormir fact sheet, and I have my Trepasaz fact sheet. And these are all interesting and nuggets of information that I have about Lormir in general, which is the kingdom that we are in, this declining kingdom, and Trepasaz, the port city that we are now ensconced. And what I thought I would do would have little scenes where actually these nuggets, these bullet points of information would be elicited from the locals and hopefully done and spoken about in a naturalistic style. And within that, embedded within that, I would have a few prophecies, a few prophetic utterances, which might be of significance for the characters in their future adventures. So what I'm going to do is, I will just explain this now. I have in this my dice shaker, I have 12 chits. And I will take a chit for each scene and take it in turn. I will select information bullets for Lormir and Trepasaz and read out as if ascertained from conversations, gossip, and questioning. Sounds interesting. Okay, let's begin. So let us find out what is going to happen first. So I will get my fact sheet lined up over here, so I've got that to hand. I have got my list of things and prophetic utterances here. I will have a quick note of what all my different characters are, just so that I have them to hand. So I've got Altharan, he's our protagonist. I've got I'm still trying to get used to their names. I've got Calith, and then Valric, and then Thalera. So let's see what they make of Trepasaz and how we negotiate it. And I'm not sure whether I will be able to get through all of these, but let's see how we get on. So we disembarked from the ship. That we've had these rather suspicious looking stairs. Our main objective is to find out information about the place, and maybe pick up some background about Lormir itself, while trying to look for an appropriate tavern to spend the night. So that is our objective, and hopefully that will be what we achieve at the end of this process. But before we do that, we are going to have our dice chit, and the first one we are going to take is chit number 8. So okay, so this is the first thing we come across. This is chit 8, and chit 8 is a street food seller. So a vendor waves skewers of grilled fish or spice meat, tempting the hungry with sizzling aromas. So we are probably quite tempted. We're apart from maybe Valric and Thalera, who are maybe trying to just get their land legs back again. But certainly Calith and Altharan, they are absolutely up for it, and we satisfy ourselves with these beautiful grilled fish, a bit of spice meat, delicious. What information do we get at the same time? Chatting to maybe some of the clientele. And they really mention in passing that, oh yeah, we can tell you all about Lormir. It's one of the oldest and most traditional kingdoms of the Young Kingdoms. It clings to its faded prestige as a land of ancient temples, noble families, and proud traditions. And we go, well, that is very interesting as a general opening statement. What about the city that we're in, Trepasaz? We're not really that familiar with it. And they say, well, actually, it's a major port city on Lormir's coast. It's facing the oldest ocean, and I presume that is the ocean that you came in on. And we say, yes, you're absolutely right. So that has done the first one. So let us draw another chit and carry on. So as you see it, they're not really going to be any kind of combat. We're not going to have pirates jumping out the street food seller is quite innocuous. He's just, so this is 12 is what we go for next. So 12 is, and I'll just make a note of this if there's anything significant. And 12 is this one. Oh, the Raven. Okay, so this is quite interesting. The Raven, a shadow flits across the masts and rooftops, black as spilled ink. A raven, larger than any natural bird, settles atop a weathered post, its eyes glinting like polished jet. It watches silently as the characters move through the docks, tilting its head with unnerving awareness. Suddenly it caws, a long, measured note, almost as if forming words in the air itself, and drops a single black feather at their feet. The feather is warm to the touch. So which one of our characters picks up the feather? Let us find out. Do a 1d4. It's our weeping waste barbarian Thalera. The feather is warm to the touch, pulsing faintly, and a chill runs through the character's spine as the message fills their mind. So I get a chance to give a bit of a prophecy. This is what almost inside the mind of Thalera. This is what she hears. In the city where kings lie in salt, strangers will meet and carry forth the balance. So this rings in her ears, and she relates this, and because she's got such a mystical voice, it really sounds very, very highly prophetic. So I'll make a note of that. We got the Raven, which is a very good Stranglers album as well, by the way. I would recommend that. The Raven, and we got the prophetic utterance of number 4. So that has been stamped in our history. I will, at the end, at the start of the next episode, I will give a recap of these prophetic utterances. You will see that they might have significance further down the line. So that is us done too. Let us move on to our next chit. So let's find out who we're going to run into this time. So we get a 6, and a 6 is, I'll just make a note of that on our little thing. 6 is children at play. A cluster of children roll carved dice or play with sticks as swords. One child calls out to the adventurers, demanding they declare whose side they're on, in kind of childish voices. I would say that maybe some of their parents come out and maybe just tell them to scatter and whatever. And again, we have a couple more tidbits of information that maybe comes out, and we get into a bit of conversation with some of them. And we're saying, oh, actually, who's the big cheese around here? Who owns this sort of place? And they say, well, the government, it's ruled by a monarchy with a court of nobles and priests. Authority is often ceremonial, but ancient laws and customs carry heavy weight. And obviously, they would have been a bit more colloquial kind of phrasing, but this is the gist of what they're saying. It's basically a feudal monarchy. There is a lot of authority. And basically ancient laws and customs are very important. Tradition is what you would say. And what about, we're quite interested in Lormir itself. What does it do? And the role of Lormir, Trepasaz, the role of Trepasaz, it serves as a trade hub, linking Lormir to the wider Young Kingdoms. It is a place of constant traffic, merchants, mercenaries, adventurers, pilgrims, and spies. Right, maybe they aren't really emphasizing the spy side of it, but they do say it is a place where adventurers seem to congregate. They seem to find it a good, suitable place as maybe a jumping off point for further adventures. And we say, well, we are interested in jumping off points, but we have no time for any more of these children. They are starting to annoy Valric a bit. He's starting to go a bit red. He says, I am naturally xenophobic, but I cannot stand Lormirian children. They are the worst. Okay, so let us move on, and we get our little chit thing out again, and let's see where our little pattering feet take us next. So we go, we get another, right, so we get an 11. So we're getting all the prophecy at the start. So we're just leaving probably one of the little back streets, and we're going, I wonder where this tavern is. Are we ever going to get to it? We seem to have an awful lot still to go. So this is called the Whispering Idol. In a merchant's stall sits a cracked figurine of some forgotten god, half buried in dust. When one companion touches it, so let's find out which one of the three companions. So we're going to have Valric, the barbarian, the warrior from Picarid. He said, "What is this? What is this idol? is it whispering to me?" So when Valric touches it, they hear a prophecy in their mind's ear, not aloud, but so vividly that it chills them. It takes a lot to chill Valric. Haha. So we're only going to be able to have 3 of these. So we've already done in the city where the king lies salt. So I can do a D3. So we're going to have, so within Valric's head, and this is what he relates, we hear the utterances of a tower without a master burns with a false flame, and those who seek its light must depart across the sea. So Valric says, I don't know what this mumbo-jumbo is, but it's like this idol's whispering to me. I'm going to put it down back there. I don't want anything more to do with it. It's kind of nonsense. Let's get on. I am straining to get to this tavern. I need a good drink, I think, not whispering idols in my ear. Right, so we've had number 11. We have had the idol we have also had the utterance 2. And if you can hear some barking in the background, I'm afraid I cannot turn off that dog because it is, if I could maybe get a raven or something to go out and give it a bit of a peck, tell it to go away, I would do that, but I have not got the power. So let us bash on. We have already 4 down. I might just do another couple, and then what we can do at the start of the next episode is finish it off. So we get 5, and 5 is street musicians. All right, so a pair of young minstrels strum a lute and beat a drum for coins. Their song is bawdy, drawing laughter from the dock workers. So we're having a bit of entertainment. We're actually, even Valric has cheered up a bit after getting away from those children. And that strange whispering idol, which he didn't really like too much. We have now got some street musicians, so we take in the street musicians. We think, all right, we need a bit of R&R. Why not better? And we can maybe talk to some of these dock workers about something interesting about Lormia and Trepasaz. So we do actually find out some quite interesting tidbits of information. We get to talk about the culture, and it's deeply tied to ritual, honor, and history. Lormirians see themselves as preservers of civilization against the encroachment of chaos, though outsiders see them as stiff, prideful, and in decline. So maybe they keep their tone hushed slightly when they see Valric, because he represents a very chaotic nation of Picarid. So maybe they're just keeping it down a bit, but that is basically the gist of what they're on about. And also we do get as we are basically acclimatizing ourselves to Trepasaz. The appearance of the place, the city mixes crumbling grandeur, amphitheatres, old temples, weathered statues, with the grime of the docks, which are salt-stained warehouses, taverns, and alleys. So we do get a feel that it's a bit of a city in contrast. It used to be a very grand and pristine, almost like your Rome at its height. That was the look, but now it's a bit more rundown and seedy. So we have had the musicians. Let us move on and see whether we can get through all my little chits. And we get a 4 next. So we get to a market stall haggling. So a fabric seller shouts and gestures at customer, haggling furiously. He tries to draw the adventurers in as a witness to his fair price. And he said, oh, surely you saw that it was a fair price I gave to this. What is your opinion? And I suppose the characters, they're saying, oh, we're not really that interested. What we're trying to do is ascertain, where's a tavern? And he says, well, I know a good one that is ideal for your kind. It says in a rather offensive way, passive aggressive. It is called the Sail and Serpent. It is a fine tavern, and it is really just up your street. And basically it is up a couple of streets, one to your left, one to your right, and just follow your nose. You will see it. It serves a beautiful sea stew. That is its speciality. The Sail and Serpent. It doesn't do the serpent. It's heavy on the stew. Okay, so we say, is there anything interesting apart from the information about the tavern? And we do pick up from we'll just get one bit of information, and he's going on about this law, this religion stuff, and it's really a lot of legislation and rules coming out. And he says the people honor the lords of law, especially Domblas the just, but in practice many hedge their devotions with offerings to chaos powers and the elemental lords. So it sounds as though basically the monolithic law state with maybe some elemental worship is now breaking down a bit, and even chaos is managing to ooze in amongst the cracks in its chaotic kind of way that it does. So we are up to yes, I think we're almost halfway through that. So let's find out where we're off to next. As we skedaddle up the street, and we think, well, we're getting close to our tavern. it's surely just around this corner. Oh, I've got street musicians again. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I must have put that back in. That's what I've done. I put that back in. Yeah, because if I do an inventory, yeah, I did. That was a bit silly. So I was wondering why I had to take a double take. So we get that is a 9, because I know what a 6 looks like. That's one of my 9s. All right, prophecy time coming up. The blind singer. So the blind singer. Yeah. Right, we get up to the top of the street. There is a beggar minstrel, his eyes clouded white. He sings ballads of old wars and sea journeys. In the middle of a tune, his voice shifts, taking on a strange clarity as he sings a verse that directly mirrors their companions. Companions' dreams. Yes, I should have put that on the same. Delivering a prophetic utterance. So the characters go, God, he's going on about that crumbling, whatever it is. Was it the crumbling, what was it? Was it the crumbling city or whatever? Which we keep on. It's not the spiral stuff. It's that crumbling. It's not the shattered mirror. It's the other one. And this isn't that bit uncanny. And we get sample of another prophetic. So we have had 9. That was the beggar, and beggar is either going to do right, I get a choice of 2. So if I roll this, I get the first one. He says, 4 shadows will gather in Trepasaz, bound by blood, gold, and doom. Their course lies westward. Right, so that sounds very relevant for us. We get that. And then suddenly he resumes his usual dirge as if nothing happened. So I think, well, that is very strange. We're just walking around here, minding our own business, trying to get some information, and we're getting all these strange things happening. Utterances. We've already had 3 with this raven, the idol, the beggar, muttering away. How do they know about what our dreams are like? This is very, very very authentic for the young kingdoms. That's what it's like. So we have another one we're going to get. We've only got, I think, 4 left now. So let's see what we get next. We get number 3. And number 3 is on my sheet. Number 3 is, Lucan. So a dog, a goat is... So let's say it's a dog. There's a dog that has been on a leash. It suddenly gets loose. It's darting through the crowd. Children are chasing after it, nearly knocking into the adventurers and going boom. We get kind of buffeted. Get out of the way. As maybe the parents. Maybe these are part of the original children, and the parents are just running around after town, all the town trying to follow them. The owner of the dog says, "Look, I'm really sorry. I'll try to get it back under control." He manages to get it do that, and he says, "Yeah, I see that." He's asking a few questions to them, and then he also gives a bit of information, and he says, "Well, actually, about the economy, it relies on seaborne trade, spice, silks, timber, and ore. Smuggling and black market flourish alongside official trade." So he seems to know a lot about the docks, how the economy works. Maybe he is a merchant. He's taking his greyhound out. It suddenly just got off its leash, and then the children were running after it. He does seem to know an awful lot, and also he has a bit of a view on Lomia's reputation in the past. And he says, well, it was once admired as a beacon of order and scholarship, is now viewed as a stagnant and overcrowded place, living in the shadow of its past. And you definitely get that feeling emanating through the place that is the case. Okay, so where are we up to? Let's get another chit and see what is left. So we get a 1. And a 1 is Fishmonger's Row. Vendors loudly hawk their catch of the day. The smell is quite overwhelming, and the press of people makes it hard to move quickly. So we are basically in a press of the crowd. Valric is saying, I cannot stand this. I'm getting into a crowd. I'm getting angry. And Thalred just looks very unsure about herself. good old Kayla, she's not really too bothered. She's not phased at all. She says, yeah, this is great. I'm really enjoying this place. It's got a lot of life and energy. Let's see what we can find out. See if there's anything left for us. Oh yeah, so people are moaning about Pang Tang. They're very distrustful. They're very wary of these Melniboneans. Well, who isn't? But they maintain trade with other states for survival. And certainly with the crush of the crowd, the people, the cosmopolitan mix of Lemurians, foreign sailors, mercenaries, and wandering mystics, the locals carry a sense of faded pride, but also desperation to hold on to relevance. So we certainly maybe we get that vibe as we are crushed in with them in the Fishmonger's Row. The smell is overwhelming. We want to get out of there quick, so quickly let's get out of there. Surely we must be near the Sail and Serpent now. What are we going to get on our little number? We get a 10. And that sounds like a prophetic utterance coming up to me. So this is what's called the Silver Gull. And I'll just make a note of the Silver Gull. Yeah, we get 10, the gull, the Silver Gull. And this is our last prophetic utterance that we're going to get. It's a seabird with unnaturally bright, metallic-looking feathers follows the companions. It calls sounds like words in the tongue of dreams, foretelling something of their path. Then it vanishes across the rooftops into the distance. So, what does it tell? And what have we not had so far? Here we go. In the ruins where the people once cheered, the sea will whisper of islands lost to memory. So that is in seagull voice, seagull language. For some reason, we seem to get it. It is very strange. There's been a lot of very strange things going on. We've had a raven, we've had idols whispering, we have had the blind beggar getting interrupted and almost possessed. And now, finally, we have the Silver Gull. We are feeling quite exhausted. We're thinking, my goodness, where on earth is this place that we have to get to? We've only got one left to go. Let's find out what it is. Number 7. So we haven't had number 7 yet. And number 7 on our list is water carriers. So men and women balance sloshing jars and buckets of brackish water, weaving around travellers. One nearly collides with the group. Whoa, watch out where you're going. So we get a bit of a feel, a bit of a vibe of the place and the tone. It's a city of opportunity and danger where fortunes can be made or lives ended in a heartbeat. So, that is definitely the vibe that we're getting. Basically you could get squashed by a water carrier. You could get basically asphyxiated in Fishmonger's Row. You are going to get lamented to by all sorts of strange animals and whatever that talk. It's all go in Trepasaz. Finally, we reach the where I suppose what the water carriers can say is, yeah, you're almost there. The Sail and Serpent, it's just up the road. And we finally see the Sail and Serpent. And we can get Eltharion just at the end to say, well, this is the Sail and Serpent Tavern. He says, beneath the cracked beams of the Sail and Serpent Tavern, where sailors drink their pay and thieves eye purses, strangers gather. Some follow the pull of prophecy, some the promise of coin, some only the drift of chance. Yet destiny sharpens its gaze on this smoke-choked hole. A single night in Trepasaz will shape the voyage to come. So he is almost predicting a voyage to come. Are we going to be off on our travels again? But we are probably going to be doing a bit of adventuring in Trepasaz first. Right, so I think I've reached the end of that episode. I'm almost at the hour, which is probably for that one. That's what I really wanted to do, was try to pack everything in, give you my little resumes of the characters, show you how my campaign, what the play style was going to be, detail the shared prophecy that the characters have, and this is going to shape their actions and motivations going forward. Begin the adventure, have Eltharion give us that nice little summary, and then do the arrival at Trepasaz, kind of say you come off the boat and this is what happens. And hopefully you found that really reasonably entertaining, just going through the town. And instead, I don't really need any specific mechanics for that. It was more a kind of narrative thing. And the idea was to try to basically filter out information and try to do it I would say, quite a naturalistic. It probably wasn't really, because unless you're actually writing in a book, but I was using mechanisms to try to make, almost like sneak the information in, and also have these prophetic utterances, which might have a bit of, in fact, they will have a direct effect on the characters, because prophecy and omen and lore and whatever are very important in this world. So what I will do at the start of the next episode is I will summarize those prophetic utterances, and maybe we can insinuate or make assumptions about what they mean for us going forward. Okay, I am a bit jaded after that. I have to get an awful lot of talking on that one. I enjoyed that. Hopefully you did too, and you'll want to come back for the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.